is no way in hell I could pay $50,000 just to hear somebody tell me things are going to get better. Come up with a plan. Here's a template. No way. No way. We're the Impact League. We're coming after you. We're coming for you. If you're in business and you're serious about your craft, relinquish all those other memberships and get into the league. All right, everybody. I have had an amazing couple of days with my Titans, mainly just so you guys can understand who they are, what they do, what their skill sets are, and then actually what they are going to be bringing to the Impact League. I am so excited to introduce Kevin Calhoun. He is amazing. I can tell you this, when I met Kevin within maybe 2 months, I learned something that I never knew in real estate, in business, and in finance. And so when I approached Kevin about being one of the Titans, one of the things I wanted him to do is to make sure he can bring the light and the education that we normally in the inner city community, especially, have no clue about. And then especially some of the other people that's not us, they don't have a clue about it either. So one of the lovely things about Kevin is that he's one of these even keel people, right? You don't mess with him. You don't get him upset. You don't get him kind of off balance, but he will throw some amazing gems at you. And when you catch him, you'll realize how it went right over your head. So without further ado, I want to introduce Kevin Calhoun. He's with the Calhoun's Capital Solutions. He's going to be one of the Titans that's focusing, and I'll let him tell you what lane, because he's got a couple of lanes that I think is going to be interesting. So Kevin, introduce yourself to the crowd.
Well, thank you, Twyla. It's so nice to be with you today. And I'm so honored to be a member of your Titan team. You've assembled just this amazing group of individuals that are dynamic in every facet of business life. And so it really is a testament to you to kind of get this all-star group together to go out and really help people and help businesses achieve what, they're destined to become. So for me, I started my entrepreneurial journey really looking at real estate. And the reason why I looked at real estate is that my dad was a real estate developer. And so I grew up around it. So I really had kind of an authentic knowledge of real estate development. And so that part of it was familiar to me. And what I really had to learn was how to take my background in corporate global manufacturing and really apply those lessons and those disciplines that I learned in a corporate environment in the real estate environment that I had grown up with all my life. And so, one of the things that I'm really excited to do for the Titans is to really help groups understand how to get real estate deals done, how to finance them, how to analyze them, how to make sure that the deal pencils,
Oh, I love it.
meaning that you can get the financing, you can attract the bank financing that you need to get a deal done, as well as the investor groups that you need to make large commercial projects happen. And so that's one of my areas that I'll be excited about helping people with. And the other is I've spent almost my entire career focused on business optimization. And that's really how do you drive cost? How do you drive efficiencies in a business? And I'm also a Six Sigma Master Black Belt and Lean expert and have done that globally all over the world with different companies. And so I'm excited about helping folks with those opportunities.
Well, one of the things I think our crowd doesn't understand about you is not only you're in real estate, but aren't you in the hotel business?
I am. So I am a proud owner of a Marriott franchise. And so over the course of my career, I've been involved in acquisitions of multiple hotels in the Marriott and Hilton family. And that's one of the things that I started. And the interesting thing about that is I really didn't get into hotels on purpose. But what happened is that my brother was working on a project to try to do a hotel project in the Washington, D.C. area. And we just started going to conferences trying to figure it out. But what really got me energized was someone told me that less than 1% of hotels are owned by African Americans, and half of those were done by Bob Johnson and his ex-wife Sheila Johnson, as part of their fortune when they sold Black Entertainment Television. And so I said, well, that's enough for me to want to jump in. If it hasn't really been done and there's not really a precedence, then that's really what gets me excited. I want to go and do something and take on those challenges that haven't been done before. And so that's really what got me excited about understanding the hotel business and working in it. And I am proud to say that I'm a Marriott owner of
Mm.
Marriott properties. stayed at a lot of Marriotts all over the world, along with some other great brands. And it's really been fun being in the hotel business. The other thing that motivated me about hotels was the opportunity to have a lot of jobs and to provide a lot of training as well as career advancement for folks that may not ever get those opportunities. And so that's been exciting as well.
So the Impact League is going to have 4 tiers, right? We talked about the people who really don't know yet that they want to be an entrepreneur. They might stay on the sideline in essentials, but then we got those who are an intense mastermind that's saying, Kevin, I'm ready to move this deal. It might not pencil, but I'm ready to move this deal and I need your help. Where do you think your best expertise would be? And if it's all over, tell them why.
Well, so I think there's a couple things that we really want to focus on, and part of your leadership, Twyla, is really making sure that we're providing efficiency to our clients and we're accelerating their business opportunities. And so, for me, what I would like to focus on for folks is to really help them understand: is this really a project that's going to be successful financially? What's going to be your return on investment? What's going to be the returns that you can reasonably offer your investors? How are the banks going to look at this opportunity? And is this really a good opportunity to get into? And so, one of the things that in business we used to always say is effective is a fast fail. And what that really means is I don't want to have a long, drawn out process trying to assess and determine, is this a good business opportunity? What we really want to do is go in, provide the analytics, provide the focus around analyzing, is this really a good business opportunity? And not in the idealistic sense, but in the real world sense. And so that's one thing: is this deal going to work for you? Do you have all the requisite skills? Do you have all of the financial wherewithal? And do you have the right focus and markets to really make this opportunity take off? So we want to assess the market. We want to assess the deal structure. We want to make sure that we have the financing to determine whether this deal is going to work or not. And if not, let's quickly get out of that project and look for something that is more fruitful.
Now, I want to make sure people understand, because I know this, but I don't think they will. You don't just deal with, okay, this is an apartment, this is a hotel. I know you've worked on restaurants, right? You've worked on people
Right.
buying or scaling their business to say, hey, I need to buy another building or buy a building to get myself out of a lease situation and into a permanent, asset. So you can span that globe, right? Around real estate, period. Or
Correct.
no?
And so,
Okay.
yes. So, one of the things that I've been fortunate to do is to work on a multitude of different commercial real estate projects. And so, whether that's fix and flip loans to kind of go in and remodel a single house and then sell to a new buyer, whether that is going to be hospitality and hotels, as you mentioned, whether that's multifamily, that's going to be like an apartment complex or a quad unit, or whether that's something called mixed use, where you're going to have a combination of retail shops, you're going to have a residential component all in the same construction. And so I've worked in a multitude of real estate arenas all throughout the United States.
So one of the things that I want to do, my vision is to have an investment group. In our platform of our Titans, you have 3 Titans that are actually expert in real estate. I know the only way we're going to get this done is with your deal can pencil type of. Joanne and I
Right.
already talked about it. We're like, Kevin got to
Yeah.
bring the funding on the back end. Part of us
Yeah.
coming together, what I envision is maybe 30 people putting between $5,000 and $10,000 into a fund that we would
Hmm.
have, your group manage. Kevin has a multifaceted company that actually not only does the deal structuring, but actually the finance management of the investors as well. So do you think that would be a good model? And if so, then what do you think we should go at right now? Is it commercial or is it maybe mixed use? What do you think would be
Hmm.
a great starting point for a group like ours?
Yeah. So one of the things, let me back up and kind of address some of the fundamental things in what you just mentioned. So what you really were talking about, Twilight, is what's called syndication. And that's where you bring together multiple investors. Everybody kind of pools their money together for the purpose of buying a real estate project. And so first started working on syndication in 2003. My roommate from college started a private equity fund, and we pulled friends and groups together, and we all started investing in entrepreneurial opportunities. And then that grew into doing a 100 unit residential development from scratch in the
Wow.
Raleigh, North Carolina area. And so, one of the things that happens when you do syndication is you bring a group of folks together, you form a new usually it's an LLC, it's a single purpose entity, which means you're coming together, you're pulling your money together, you're creating a corporation, and then that corporation is going out and investing or doing a deal. And that can be in the any facet of commercial real estate, whether that's going to be an office complex, whether that's going to be warehouse purchases, whether that's going to be apartment complexes. And so, depending upon the region you're in and the market that we're in, some of those opportunities are going to be better than others. And it's kind of a scale. And so, one of the things that I know you bring to the table and that we see is that we want to look at opportunities that are not only domestic, but also
Mhm.
international.
Yep.
Because the best model in if you're in the southern US, they may have different commercial real estate opportunities because they have a lot of influx of people coming in, there's high growth. And so in those markets, residential and those things around residential growth may be the most attractive real estate components. When you go into the Northeast, where you have already a lot of established multifamily projects, there may be other things that those folks need. It could be more retail centers that are needed. It could be more warehouse space that's needed. So you really have to look at the market to assess what's the best opportunity for growth in that particular region if you're going to put your real estate dollars into those types of projects.
And that's something you can do in our group, correct?
Correct. Right. Is
Cool.
really help them understand based on some analytics that we have. We have some models that we put together to help make those decision points.
So we are going to have some individuals that probably won't look at construction, but you mentioned something, and I'm very familiar with Six Sigma. For those who
Mhm.
don't understand what that is, can a small business actually use the principles of Six Sigma to scale?
Yes, so it's kind of a combination of processes, but what Six Sigma is and Lean is it's just a methodical approach to problem solving. And so what that says is we really want to just define what is the problem we're trying to solve. And then we want to make sure that we have some measures in place so that we can determine goodness and effectiveness. So how do we know that once we've gone through and improved this system or this process or this business that we've actually made the desired result. And then once we kind of know what the problem is, we know what how we're going to measure success, then we go and we begin to collect data and try to analyze things to really kind of understand the process system flows. Where is there inefficiencies? Where are there things where we're wasting a lot of money? Or we can be more efficient, or we have things at risk in our business. And then we go through and we make those changes and then we try to put the controls in place to make sure that once we achieve those gains stay in place, right? And especially for small businesses, a lot of times we'll go in and we'll make these great changes, but then we find over time they fade away, right? Because we haven't put the disciplines in place to make sure they're sustainable. And then we make sure that we continue to measure that and kind of repeat that cycle. And so that works for any system where you're combining people together with a product and customers and suppliers, and you want to have a repeatable, reproducible result, right? So that works across the board in any scenario. And then the other thing that we do is we look at the efficiencies of a business and how do we make this business leaner? And so for any small business, the number one problem that you have in small business is scalability, right? Is how do
Hmm.
I make sure that my costs are in line with my opportunities and so I can continue to be profitable? So we want to make sure that everybody's operating lean and mean and that they're still making bottom line results. Because if you're not making bottom line results, you don't have a business, you have a hobby that takes up a
There you
lot of
go.
time. So,
Well, Kevin, I'm going to lean on you to make sure the Impact League is implementing these processes. We're coming out the gate new. So the beautiful thing of starting something is that you get to mold it for 6 months to a year. Every
right.
business that I've had ebbs and flows, right, throughout the 6 months, but you hopefully stabilize about month 12. 18 where we can have and see some of the results. So, what would you recommend for people who are on the fence about joining the league? What would you say?
So I think one of the things that I would say is we really need to talk about education and knowledge management. So what do I mean by
Mm.
that? I mean that anytime you're doing anything, there's a series of knowledge that you're gaining in that enterprise. And one of the things that the Impact Link is going to do for you is to speed up the knowledge that you have around your business and the effectiveness in that. And so that's one thing that I would say. And the second thing I would say is that for most small businesses, they are going to spend money on education. The question is, what form of education do you spend money on? You can learn through the school of hard knocks, which really just means I'm going to spend a lot of money and time through mistake to make sure that I get what I need to learn. Or you can spend, wait, oh, okay.
There is no way in hell I could pay $50,000 just to hear somebody tell me things are going to get better. Come up with a plan. Here's a template. No way. No way. We're the Impact League. We're coming after you. We're coming for you. If you're in business and you're serious about your craft, relinquish all those other memberships and get into the league.